A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Now we're gearing up towards our ceramic shampoo comparison. Gtechniq, Chemical Guys, Valet Pro, Gyeon, Wax, Armour, Meguiars, Autoglem, Carbon Collective, Angelwax, Bilt, Hamber. I think we've got a good lineup there of different products. Coating brands with Gtechniq and Gyeon, American brands, big label brands, Bilt, Hamber, a couple of more seedy brands if you like, but maybe they've transcended beyond that now, these two. You know, but a good lineup of brands, I think. The Valet Pro, I think, is always nice to get in there. Now, I'm starting the test, and I always go through and work out prices. Whenever I do this on detergents, especially shampoos, I find it hard not to get frustrated with the brands. Because all I'm looking for, as I might have mentioned in other videos, is a ratio. Give me that and I'll do the rest. I'll do it very quickly if you give me a ratio. John, are you being pedantic here? No. Now, first of all, you have the prices of all these products. But then that's made very difficult to compare because the volumes are all different. Some of those bottles contain like 1.41 litres. Some of them contain 16 fluid ounces, which is 473 mil. Some of them contain 500 mil or a litre, which is nice and easy and metric and, you know, civilised. I much prefer that civilised thing than those fluid ounce jibber jabbers and US gallons. It's just a prehistoric way of measuring things. You know, really, metric is the way to go. So that's your first challenge. So how do I overcome that challenge? I go and calculate all of the price per litre. The price per litre. So that then I know how much they're charging for the same volume of solution, you know, of detergent blend. Oh, my back's hurting. Okay, so you're there, John. You just compare price per litre and you're there. No, because then you need to know with shampoos concentration. Because we know these detergent blends are mixed with water as well, and the amount of water in them can bulk out the solution. So really you need to know how much you use, how much solution detergent you use, but how much water. And then you can work out, based on how much you use in each wash, a cost per wash. And when you do that, it's quite staggering, the variation actually, which is always staggering. It's quite staggering. And what I've come to think is that some of the brands here are quite sneaky, I think. And I think the bigger brands, the big name brands, I don't know if sneaky is the word, but I think Wax, Meguiars and Autoglem are coming up with very high prices per wash. And they all, I think, they understand that when someone goes in to buy something, they don't really read the label and work out how much you've got to use. So for example, you look at this Wax product, and it costs 15 quid. You can get it cheaper, but I think it's standard RRP. And you get 1.5 litres with it, so it's £10 per litre, which is one of the cheapest. It is the cheapest cost per volume, if you like, in this test. You're like, oh, brilliant. I think I'll go with the Wax over the Meguiars and the Armour and the Autoglem because it's the cheapest. But then you go and have a look at the Wax product, and it says directions. Use one, oh, here we go. Add to a bucket one, what does that say? Cap of wash and wax per 1 litre of water. You can't measure the cap size when you're in Halfords or you're buying this. So you don't know how much you have to use. And how many people are pedantic enough to take the cap off and measure how much liquid you put in the cap? Well, only an idiot like me doing the test. So I've measured this carefully, well, reasonably carefully, and you have to use 15 mil. 15 mil is a capful. So if you've got 10 litres of water, you have to use 10 capfuls, which is 150 mil. Now, I've done all my calculations based on 15 litres because that is working on the assumption that most people are going to be using detailing buckets that are bigger than those B&Q kind of standard buckets, you know, that hold about 10 litres. And I use 15 mil. It doesn't really matter what you set that volume as, that level as long as it's consistent for the whole field and you work it out to the same volume, you know, the same amount, the same ratio, if you like, obviously. But if you work it out to 15 litres, you have to use 225 mil of turtle wax product per 15 mil, which is massive amount of product, 225 mil. Oh, so literally that's more than half that bottle. That's a 400 ml bottle. It's a small bottle as well. It's another thing. Don't get me started on that. So that's a litre there. So you'd use a quarter of that each time. So 4 washes and you'd be out of product. But this is 1.4. So really you only get 6 washes roughly, don't you? Forgive my maths, I'm talking freely and this is just all my opinion. My maths may be a little bit off. So 6 or 7 washes and you've emptied your bottle of ceramic wash and wax. So it's a very low concentration. The Angelwax on the other hand, very expensive product to buy because it costs £20.85 for 500 ml. But it tells you, and you need bionic eyes, I'm going to pick up on that, it's very hard to read this label, and that's annoying. PVD pick up on things like that. I think that's a good idea. They've inspired me, or I'll steal that one off them. Yeah, you should really read, you know, take into account how easy it is to read the instructions, and I struggle with these labels. But anyway, it says 2 capfuls. So old Donkey Nuts here then goes and measures this cap, and that cap holds 5 mil. So you only use 2 capfuls per bucket, and they say fill up bucket halfway, then foam it up, you know, fill it up the rest of the way and foam it up to the desired level, so about 15 litre. So you would use 10 mil per 15 litre, which gives you a concentration ratio of 1 to 1500, which is very high concentration, you know, very concentrated product, and a cost per wash of 42p, which is very low. But can Angelwax Atomic Enigma function at 10 mil per 15 litres? I think I've reviewed it, and I think I said you need to use a lot more. I have to go and watch my own review of it. But I'm convinced that 10 mil, 2 capfuls of that, small capfuls these are as well, 2 capfuls of this is nothing. So I got a feeling you're going to have a thin solution that doesn't really foam much. And of course, it's a bit of an oddball, the graphene one, because it's not the same as all these ceramic ones. It's there more for lubrication, but it's still be a bit of an oddball, but we'll cope with that. But how would it, you should expect, if that's not a cationic film on your car, protective film, then that's more of a traditional shampoo, and I'd expect it to really clean well and foam up and give me a good experience for the price. But I think that 10 mil per litre is going to hinder it. On the other hand, the turtle wax, when you're using 225 mil a go, quarter of a litre nearly, just under, that's a whopping amount of products. You'd expect that to be turbocharged performance, or if it isn't, then it's just watered down a lot. So there is my little introduction on some of the things that go through my head. We have 5, in fact 6 naughty boys here, naughty brands in my book, that make it difficult for me to work out how much product to use. The naughty brands are Angelwax, because they tell you to measure out capfuls. So that's naughty. It doesn't tell me how much I need, and I have to go and measure the cap out to work it out. That gets a cross. You're going to get penalised if you do that. Autoglem are naughty boys because they tell me to use capfuls per bucket. So I have to go and measure their caps. Naughty boys. You naughty, naughty boy. Who else are naughty? Meguiars, I've said, are naughty. Even though they tell me how much to use, on the GB label, they give it to me in fluid ounces and US gallons. Naughty boys. 3 fluid ounces per 3 gallons or something like that, they say. So I've got to convert fluid ounces into millilitres, which is about 29.57, I think. And then US gallons into litres, and then convert that, shift it all up to 15 litres, which is a pain. So naughty boys, you get a cross there. It will be a minor penalisation for this point, but I'm going to penalise all these brands that make it difficult to work out your concentration ratios. Armour, they're going to get a naughty boy mark because there's not much going on the front of the label that tells you what to do. The back of the label is this, okay? And I looked at this and thought there's no instructions on here, just health and safety warnings. I looked at it and thought, no, there's no instructions. Is it one of those books? And I couldn't open it up. And I thought they're selling a product with no instructions on the label is what I initially thought. But it's one of those booklets. But there's no little sign to tell you that it's a booklet. That's like a recycle sign, isn't it? That doesn't mean you've got to open it up. Normally you get a little booklet thing, lift here. But anyway, this is a booklet. So it's hidden. And it was a nightmare to actually get this open because there's no little tab. It's only through sheer persistence that I did it. And in here it has all the usage instructions. You get a naughty boy smack for that because I nearly thought it didn't have any instructions, which would have been terrible. Turtle Wax get a naughty boy slap because I have to go and measure the lids out. And I think because they're not, well, they're getting the naughty boy slap because I've got to measure the cap. And Gyeon get the naughty boy slap because they don't tell you. They tell you how much product to use, like 15 to 20 mil into a bucket. But buckets are all different sizes. So buckets are all different sizes. So yeah, you know, a lot of the other brands think about that and they say use 60 mil to 10 litres. Because then you know roughly what it's formulated to be used at. If you don't say what the bucket size is, you could have one guy with a B&Q tiny bucket that half fills it and has 5 litres, and another guy that likes to use a detailing bucket and fills it right to the top and gets 25 litres. So you could be a factor of 5 out on your concentration, and that affects the product 5 times more watered down. So how do I go about it then? How do I go about it? Well, I'm going to take the literal meaning. If they say a bucket, if it doesn't specify otherwise, a bucket for me is 15 litres, which is a sensible amount, really. Some people will say that's not sensible. Anyway, in my opinion, that's a sensible amount to use. Could be more, could be a bit less. That could affect your product. So if I don't know, if you just say bucket, I'm going to measure you on 15 litres. If you tell me, for example, use 30 to 60, so I'll take the average 45, into a bucket and fill with 10 litres of warm water, okay? Okay, so I can work out a ratio from 45 mil of product to 10 litres. If I translate that up to 15 litres, it's going to be 67.5 mil of product. So I can get an accurate usage ratio. So there's this is some of the complexity. So before I can even start this test, I've got to go and do a series of mathematical calculations and conversions from fluid jibber jabbers and gallons and rounding 473 mil up to whatever, you know, calculations to get all these figures, then dividing them, then cost per washes. And it's easy to mess that up. It's easy to mess that up, but I think I have it. And it's interesting actually, because that puts for me the cost per wash. This one is being the cheapest. Then after that, it's Gyeon as being the cheapest because you're only using 17.5 mil per 15 litre, which might not be enough. But how, you know, it's lower than the rest. That's most of these other Gtechniq ones. Look, 30 mil per 15 litre, 33 mil, 45 mil with the Valet Pro, 17.5 mil for the Gyeon, 225 mil for the Turtle Wax. So I'm using less Gyeon product here. So your cost per wash is going to be higher, but I don't think the product's going to perform as well when you use it at that concentration. If it can, then fair play. It's going to be up on the podium as a chance to win. And Gyeon could turn around and say, John, hold on, but we've formulated this to really use about 17.5 mil to about 10 litres. 15 litres is going to be a bit weak. Doesn't say that on the label. So I'm trying to, you know, infer how to do it, and that's why I've got the slap fish thing, because it's frustrating me, because it creates error. It creates error, and that should be penalised actually, because it's frustrating as a tester to not be able to know, and having to deviate and having to do some calculated things that you think are sensible and fair. Not easy. And that can get me criticism as well if you feel like I haven't done it fairly. So yeah, all this stuff goes through my head. I think that's fair though. And what's after that on cost per wash? After that, it looks like it is Armour at £1.04, so a big jump up. Where there was no ambiguity with that, because the labels do 60ml. It is per. Actually, is there ambiguity? There might be. They might have said per bucket, but I've already given them the slap fish. I've already given them the slap around the face for the older thing. Yeah, into a bucket. Yeah, so I'm having to assume that bucket is 15ml, the same as Gyeon, but it might not be. Who knows? What's the bucket? There we go. But they're the three best value for money. Interestingly, Bilt Hamber is it's somewhere in the middle on value for money, £1.28. Because you're using 67.5ml per bucket of 15 litres. So yeah, interestingly, the Autoglem where you use is 24 quid for 500ml, so it's 48 quid per litre, and you use 45ml based on a 15ml cap, 3 capfuls. There's its concentration ratio. So a litre, 1000ml divided by 45 will get you the amount of uses per litre. So if you divide 48 by the amount of uses, that's the cost. So it's £2. Oh, I might have made a mistake there. Millilitres per use. Oh no, yeah. I think that's roughly correct. So if I did 1000 divided by 45, and then 48 divided by that result of that will give me that cost. I need to go through and check all these figures, but that sounds roughly right. Yeah, that sounds roughly right. So yeah, because roughly, very roughly, you'll get about 10 usage out of a 500ml bottle, and it's about £2.40. So yeah, that figure looks correct to me. Same with the Meguiars, cost per wash really high, and Turtle Wax. So the three big boys, look at their cost per wash compared to the rest of the field. And it's taken me a hell of a lot of calculating to get to that stage. So the three big boys are being sneaky. These three are sneaky, but I've discovered it. So you're going to get penalised because I'm going to be marking cost per wash and weighting that very highly. And those three are going to be down the bottom. So they're going to be off to a stinker of a start. Now, can they pull it back with performance? Here's what I'm thinking. I know these two products. I don't know the Meguiars one. The Meguiars, you mix that in as well, but I've worked it out correctly. I've worked it out the cost correctly. Okay, you run out of this before you run out of this, ironically, but that's okay. You'll have a bit of the old juice, that's like the beady stuff, the SiO2, the SiO2. These two products, I think, aren't that beady. Interestingly, you've got the beads on the Meguiars, whereas you've got like a sheeting thing going on the Turtle Wax. I've used the Turtle Wax, and I think one of the disappointments was it doesn't create like this beady film of wow factor. And Turtle Wax will say, well, we want it to run the water off, rather than bead, that creates water spots. But they have lots of products that bead as well. Same for Autoglem. It's very unhydrophobic. This just gives a little tiny boost to hydrophobicity, and it's very neutral, and it just sort of sheets off, almost like there's no protection. Again, you can argue, well, we formulated it that way. But they have lots of products, like their ultra high definition wax and the aqua beads and all that sort of stuff or aqua, whatever it's called, aqua wax, that beads well. So, don't know. I think it's more a case that they've just formulated a product at a certain concentration with a certain material in it, and that material just perhaps isn't that hydrophobic, or there's not enough of it in there to really give you that zing. So I've got a feeling that these 3 products might be, well, the Meguiars, maybe not, because I haven't tested that. But just on my experience of these 2, I think those 2 could be in trouble with, perhaps, you know, they might come down in the bottom order. But that's what we do this testing for. That's what we do this testing for. I'm not too enthralled with this as a brand. It feels like the bottle feels a bit cheap and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, just like the branding and Armour, you know, it's the first time Armour was on the channel. You know, maybe let's wait and see. Maybe it can blow me away. Well, it seems to be 3rd cheapest, but Armour, I think they need to go through a rebuilding exercise like Turtlewax did. I feel the same about Armour as I did Turtlewax like 10 years ago, where Turtlewax had all like the green bottle products, and you know, I didn't really use any of them. I've got a smudge on the camera, no. And then Turtlewax have rebranded and done all this hybrid solution stuff and brought out some good products, and they've got the Seal and Shine, which is quite good. And, you know, they've got some good spray waxes and stuff, and I think their reputation's a bit better now. Armour have got to do the same thing, and I think they need to do more because this packaging is important. Look at the packaging of those 3, pretty good, isn't it? That just looks, if you're in Halfords looking at them, you're going to buy these 3 over that one, aren't you? I think, interestingly enough, I think the Valet Pro, the branding's always a little bit lackluster. There's a picture in the background there, but it's so faded out you can't really see it. You can just see a little wash mitt. It's not a particularly good image. So the branding could be stronger, couldn't it? Make it. These cartons are okay, but you know, you could just be a bit more blingy. You know, Meguiars get it. They get it. You got your little shot of SAO2 in the side. You got a nice label there. These have got some funky label going on with the holograms and all that. They get all the branding. You don't really pay. Well, you do in this instance, so you're paying for that label, aren't you? I like the old chemical guys. They get slated. I always think their branding's fun, draws your eyes. And in this instance, the chemical guys product gives me all the information I need on concentration, even though I've got to do some. Oh, I should slap it. I'll have to give it a slap for giving me fluid jibber jabbers. Yeah, I'm going to have to give it a slap. Damn. Because I slapped Meguiars for the same thing. Fluid in gallons, jibber jabbers. Sorry. It's just got to be consistent like a referee. But I can, to be fair, it's less of a slap with Meguiars and chemical guys. It's a minor slap because I can still get to where I need to go. I'll have to think about that and see if whether that is really worth a slap or not. I don't know. I think it probably is. Gtechniq. Gwash was a good shampoo, and I think the ceramic Gwash, really nicely branded. Look at that. Good value for money, actually. It might be the next cheapest after the, might be 4th cheapest or something. Oh, not quite 4th cheapest, 5th, but not far off it. That's good, because they're a premium brand. Usually their kind of products are quite expensive and in the lower pecking order, but because it's priced itself on the market competitively, it's going to be in with a shout, and that gets me excited because Gtechniq haven't won any of my videos. I always try and get them in there, and they haven't won any, so they must think I'm a right numpty, which is fine. But it'd be nice if one of their products could do all right. So, you know, that would be nice. What else? Carbon Collective, nice, kind of nice minimal branding. Another thing that I'm not mentioning is the ceramic bandwagon, because ceramic's such a powerful selling thing. It's like, who's resisted the ceramic bandwagon? Okay, let's line them up. Who could resist? So who's not mentioned the word ceramic on their label? Guilty. You're on the bandwagon. You're on the bandwagon. Ceramic, you're on the bandwagon. Guilty. Guilty. These have got the same name, these 2 products. Ceramic wash and wax. Ceramic wash and wax. Got hybrid in there, but you've got hybrid there as well. It's almost like they're intertwined. Ceramic. Guilty. No ceramic. And I don't think it mentions it on the instructions as well. You've got SIO who. I'll let them off of that because that's not so much of a buzzword. No ceramic on the Bilt Hamber label. So these 2 aren't on the ceramic bandwagon. Gyeon. ceramic company, but they're not on the ceramic bandwagon. I think they mentioned, did they mention SiO2? Don't know. But no ceramic bandwagoning. And this one's graphene shampoo, so I'm going to put them on the graphene bandwagon. Same as the ceramic bandwagon, just a bit came afterwards. Down the trail, a couple of days later, comes the ceramic bandwagon. The old guy smoking a rollie. Yeah. So there we go. 3 companies resisted the ceramic bandwagon. But the video is going to be called The Best Ceramic Shampoo, so I might give you a little bonus if you don't go down the ceramic bandwagon route, because these aren't ceramic products. So I'm there with my first test results on price. Interested to start seeing how these products perform. Very interested. Very interested. Concentration is king. User experience is very important as well. The rest could come, price is important, the rest could come down to personal preference. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if there's any other products that you think should be in this test that I haven't included. 11's about as many as I can cope with, and that was difficult. Forensics Detailing, over and out. Doug.